All right, good morning, folks. This is Tim Ealer. How you doing this morning? Today is Tuesday, the 16th of September. Happy Tuesday. Hope you all had a good beginning of your week. And here's the infrared satellite loop of the Continental U.S. this morning. We have a low pressure off the coast here, which doesn't look to be tropical in nature. However, it's got quite a bit of convection on its eastern side with some shearing on the drier air over here. Um, and we have a mid-level disturbance moving through the flow here this way. We can see it better on the mid-level water vapor loop. It looks like on the east coast here we have mid-level low or up-level feature here. So a mid-level feature with some the surface low right to the east of that, and it's looking to try to pull it briefly closer to onshore. Heavy rain ongoing in this area. We'll talk about that later. Um, Also, a possibility of severe weather. There's been some gusty winds offshore this area, so they could use the rain down there. But for down in the southeast, still very dry with the mid levels really dry here. Lower levels really dry as well with the deep yellows and oranges. Upper levels a little bit different story, but um, as far as out west here, let's first of all let's look at the meso for the system off the coast here. See what I'm talking about? Here's your low pressure surface low, all the convection off to the west, right here. Um, so if you look at the water vapor loop, you can see the dry air on the eastern side of it here. Uh, we'll just have to see if maybe the surface low may get pulled underneath this convection that's ongoing, and maybe something subtropical might develop. But the National Hurricane Center hasn't said anything about it. However, let's pull up the latest advisory here as of 8 a.m. Let's see if it's there. We go. Now they give the disturbance in the mid MDR 90% chance in the next 48 hours or 7 days, likely to become a tropical storm soon, or tropical depression anyway. And the other disturbance coming off the coast of Africa is likely to develop in the next, not likely, 20% chance next 7 days. That they don't have any outlook off the coast here. So not likely to be tropical in nature. Going back to the continental U.S. here, the mid-level water vapor. Again, we have system diving like this with some other embedded, maybe short waves moving through the flow here, likely leading to severe weather, chance of severe weather today. Other than that, not a heck of a lot going on, right, with the CONUS. So the big story is, of course, off the coast here. So moving on, it's to the future here. This is the 500 millibar heights, right, which give us a good idea of above and below normal heights at the end flow at 500 millibars, which is mid-level flow, which is typically your steering currents for mid-latitude systems, right? The jet stream at 200 millibars is a little bit different, but this gives a good idea of what's going on. It's a, you know, so it's a good visualization tool, is what I'm trying to say. So, there's flow here, and we have this low mid-level disturbance. A couple of them move to the flow. You also have the cutoff low here, which is likely leading to the genesis of the low pressure offshore, embedded within a high pressure sail here. Um, and you can get these mid-level features, upper level features embedded in the flow like that. It's cut off. It's cut off meaning like the flow goes like this, and this isn't attached to that flow, right? So move through time here. That feature off the coast, east coast, gets absorbed into the mean flow. You have high pressure building in here with an embedded um, low in the middle part of the country, which could bring see that low that is kind of two vortexes, kind of consolidates, and you have a deeper low off the up into the northeast into Canada, right? That low that was in the Midwest and high plains gets absorbed in the mean flow. We have what looks like another cutoff low developing and dropping south towards the Gulf, and kind of hangs out there. We get further into the time here. We have large scale ridging, uh, you know, more of a zonal flow towards the long term here, which likely to lead to warmer temperatures in general for most of the U.S. This is it at the mid levels, right? Then you have a deep low forecast develop over the Northeast and Great Lakes, which and looks like this model wants to bring a tropical system in here into the southeast in the long term. And this is the end of September, which is 14 days out, but kind of makes sense. You have low pressure here, you have a high pressure off the coast, and you have this system sneaking in there between. And you also have quite a big ridge building in here into the northern high plains. So you see what I'm talking about here. So how does this look as far as temperatures at the surface, right? This is a 2 meter temperature anomaly. The darker reds, oranges, and the numbers indicate above normal, how far above normal temps are. And of course, the greens and blues indicate below normal temps, right, based on climate. Off the East Coast, you can see um, let's just play this. Stop it. I'm going to play it slower here so I can kind of talk about it. Cooler temps off the East Coast, right, and then the Midwest here, high plains. Warmer temps build in for a good part of the country in the long term, and into the Northeast. And then see what happens here. I'm going to stop this. Good portion of the country in the northern high plains and get really hot, and up into Canada still, right? This is 5 days from now. Moving forward in time, a good portion of the U.S. above normal for a good period here, and then you stop this again. This is the 24th, that low down here and off the coast, the west coast. And we're talking the 24th September. Really, let's stop it again. See how hot it gets up here in the upper Midwest. Upper Midwest, Northern High Plains, good portion of the country still. Hot temps. And you'll see cooler air building as we get towards the end of the period. And of course, hot temps building in ahead of that as it pushes to the south. Likely a cold front being pushed through this area here. So this is at the end of the month, if 30 September. This plays out cooler than normal temps, but then hot temps building again. And for the Northern High Plains, the Intermountain West, and cooler than normal temps along the West Coast. And cooler in Florida because of that potential system this model wants to present and bring up from the Gulf here. So next I'm going to go over the little short-term forecast for temperatures, severe weather, rainfall amounts, things like that, and talk a little bit more about the system off the east coast of the U.S. And then I'm going to talk about the tropics after that. Here is the current radar on the continental U.S. You see where the storm off the east coast is, with a lot of rain along the coast here, and likely flooding going on. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And some other activity here in Mississippi, Louisiana, some shower and storms on the northerly flow coming down this way. And some ongoing rain up here in Wisconsin, some storms in South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana. All right. So what's the future radar going to look like here? This is the HRR model, simulating a future radar. You can see where everything is. So we'll move this forward here. See, wants to bring those storms on shore here and really pick up in intensity. Let me slow this down a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if we might get a subtropical storm develop here. It looks quite ominous, with the possibility of severe weather offshore here. You can see out west where most of the precip is going to be, and the precip associated with Mario down here along Florida. Of course, the southeast has been really dry lately. Other storms potentially popping up in other parts of the country, but that's that. So, overlay that with excessive rainfall outlook here. Interestingly enough, let's go back. Let's take the radar off here. Slight risk along the Virginia Beach area into Virginia, North Carolina. Marginal risk. Composite radar here. This is really screwing me up. Anyway, slight marginal risk, and then you have the The margin of risk out here in the middle part of the country and Intermountain West and Desert Southwest. Large marginal risk, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, New Mexico, far southern Florida. And day 3, out west here, southern Florida again, a wide swath into the Midwest and northern high plains and then the plains here, and in the desert Southwest into California. Okay. Day 4, see where the marginal risk is down here in Florida again. Northern high plains into the Midwest, desert Southwest, and California mountains. And a small marginal risk up here into Wisconsin, Minnesota for day 5, which is 5 days from now. That would be the 21st, which is Sunday. So, running through the reflectivity again here. Wish I could figure this out, but it's driving me crazy. Anyway, you can have different overlays now, and it's this whole, forgot to put my mic close enough. Hopefully you all could hear me, but this whole program changed and it's throwing me off here today. Next I'm going to go over the severe threat and rainfall totals expected over the next few days. Okay, so this is the expected precip through 12Z tomorrow. Today's Tuesday. This is 24-hour accumulation. You can see the bullseye here in the center part of the country and along the East Coast. And if we move through time here as it reloads, see the highest precip amounts are in the middle part of the country still, along the East Coast, the Atlantic coast, and you see the Southeast and Florida. Florida's way in South Florida is staying quite wet through the period, through Friday. And a wide swath here moving into the northern high plains, the Midwest, and into California, believe it or not. Expecting some rain in the long term here. So it's an interesting pattern setting up, probably due to moisture from Mount Mario moving up in here. So with the storm off the East Coast, what the wind's going to look like here. This is the HRRR model. 50 plus mile-an-hour winds just offshore, possibly moving even higher winds with these storms. You know, if we get some supercells, not supercells, could be some supercells moving on shore here, water spouts and potential tornado and wind threat, and that's highlighted by these deeper colors here. Quite windy, even inland with this system. So, what's the Storm Prediction Center have for today's convective outlook? Slight risk here in the plains. Large marginal risk surrounding it. Marginal risk off the Mid-Atlantic coast. Tornado 2% chance in the plains, just east of the Rockies, and right offshore, right on the Mid-Atlantic shore here. Damaging winds 15%, surrounded by 5% here in the brown, and 5% on the Mid-Atlantic coast. Large hail, same areas in the plains up into the Midwest and northern high plains. So let's go back and go to day 2. No areas highlighted with any severe weather highlighted for tomorrow. So just general thunderstorms. Day 3, same thing. Day 4 through 8. Let it run through here. Doesn't look like any potential other than today right now. So you see where the threats are. I'm going to move on to the tropics next, talk about that, and potential Gabrielle and other stuff out in the tropics today. Um, phase space diagram. It talks about this system off the east coast here. The C is a current position, and Z is the forecast end position, right? And this is just a visualization of what well, the system is warm core, cold core, which is um, the latitude cyclone, and warm core is a tropical cyclone. So you see its current structure, asymmetric warm core, based on the thermal wind, shallow as well, um, relatively weak. And you could see on the satellite image that we talked about earlier that it's quite shallow, especially on the western eastern side, and asymmetric as well. Okay, and the sea surface temps are um, well within range for a tropical cyclone to develop, but overall not expected to become um, develop in a tropical system off the shore here. I still think it bears watching, but the National Hurricane Center doesn't have anything advised on it. So moving forward to the tropics, quick reminder of what's going on here. We have this 20% chance off the coast of Africa. This other disturbance out here that's forecast to develop pretty soon into a depression or a tropical storm. Um, now, I want to show you this as well. This is a visible satellite loop overlaid with um, convergence, divergence, and vorticity. Okay, so the vorticity is maximized. You see in the center here. Convergence has a lot of convergence at the low levels, and also a lot of divergence aloft. So all the parameters are there for this to develop into something. I find it hard to believe that it's not going to at this point. And if we look at the latest ocean sat, you can see there's a broad circulation already there. We'll just have to see if it tightens up today, and I think there's a good chance that it will. Okay, so let's just take a look here at the shear that might be impacting the system on the north side. Right, you have deep shear just to the north of it. At least this is what's analyzed. Right over top of it, you have an anticyclone aloft. You see the winds coming out here. I can't draw on it. Oh, well, there we go. It's kind of slow to let me draw, but um, and the mid shear. Not a lot of shear to mid levels, really, but deep shear is just to its north, which potentially could limit its development in the short term. So I'm going to close this and move on to PWATs, which is just a good representation of how much moisture is available for the system out here. Quite a bit of, I mean, this is what max amount of potential precipitation associated with this, which is quite high. So Let's look at different models. Tell you what, I'm going to go to the mesoscale and see if we can get a visualization of this system here. This is a really good satellite loop here. Very broad circulation right now, um, approaching the diurnal minimum, um, but I see just a broad circulation right now. So you can see what I'm talking about here. I can't draw on this again. I got a lot of stuff on my screen, so it's not behaving very well here. Let me close some of this stuff. Close this. All right. So this gets going real slow. Anyway, you get the idea. A little bit of dry air over here. Mid levels. Really a great outflow. I mean, this is very impressive if you ask me. I think there's a good chance this is going to develop soon. Anyway, let's look at the different model output here. This is the Google DeepMind with the Euro as part of it. The Euro really wants to make a tropical storm shortly here. And so you have the low potential here trailing it. And Euro wants to make that a tropical storm, and it kind of wants to bring it on the same path as potential Gabrielle. And then that's it for that. So if we look at HRRF, let's see if I have any more recent model run on it. Go back in time here. This is the hurricane model. Kind of weak right now. Take a while to get going here. Eventually, veering, intensifying quite a lot north of the Caribbean islands. This is one of the hurricane models. HMON is another hurricane model. Let's see if I can get refresh it. Do I have it in? Yeah, I have a more recent run. Okay. Moving through time. Doesn't really develop it much, interestingly enough. Let's go back to the HRRF parent and see what it does. Still wants to develop it quite a bit here. That system off to its down here really doesn't really get it going, but it wants to develop this quite a lot here. So I'm just showing all this as far as model support goes. Half A is the hurricane model again, going through time. Finally develops it towards the end of the period, which is September 21st, which is 5 days from now. Okay. Half A parent. Okay, this is the wind shear associated with this system, right? The deep reds are higher wind shear speeds. Where there's the whites and stuff, that's not a lot of wind shear, right? So going out through time here. One of the limiting factors in the short term is some shear to the north of it, right? But as it gets towards in the subtropics, looking like it's going to have more divergence aloft, which will likely help it get going a little bit better. So, one of the factors that we look at too with this is dry air, and you can see the 700 to 300 relative humidity values associated with it. It has a lot of dry air surrounding it in the short and medium term. And once it starts intensifying and get vertically coherent here, kind of creates its own moisture pocket and start developing here. SP parent showing the same thing. These are all hurricane models, right? This one doesn't do much with it at all. Keeps the dry air surrounding it. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. See how this trends. And one of the things that's limiting its potential in the short term, I want to show you this, is there's an upper level feature to its north here. See it here at this is a 500 millibar heights, and this is the mid-level circulation with our system. And this upper level feature is kind of interacting with it, right? And you see what happens here. It gets absorbed into the general 500 millibar flow with the system, and it starts to consolidate as it gets further out in time. But this is as far as this run goes. As far as the GFS goes, this is the latest run, 6Z. This is the 500 millibar heights, which gives us a good idea of the steering flow with the system, right? And you have the 500 millibar vortex here, the other system out here. This is mid-level high pressure, and the other system off the East Coast. Moving forward in time, and once you develop it here, this is the high pressure, and you have a low developing off the East Coast, a lower pressure here, and this finds a weakness in it and moves to the north here. And that vortex with the other system kind of hangs out in the tropical Atlantic and just kind of doesn't do much, right? You get further out in time, the GFS maybe wants to bring something else off the coast of Africa, but this is October 2nd, so pretty far out. So what do by showing the GFS ensemble and European ensemble output, showing low pressure centers here. See the low pressure off the coast, mid-Atlantic coast, same here, this other model. This my cursor is not working too well today. So most of both the models agree that something is going to develop here, and they're both tightly clustered with this storm, right? This is as a 6Z. This is the tropical disturbance moving this way. My cursor, I give up. Anyway, let's go back to this and move through time. There's no really indication that the storm is going to even come close to the Continental U.S. or the Lesser Antilles for that matter. It may get close, but most of the models, these are all pressure centers. The European is 51 members, and the GFS has 31. So not likely to be a threat to land. So the only threat possibly Bermuda, but based on what I'm seeing here, most of them are going to be going to the east of it as of right now. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Hope you have a great day.